This is a dangerous groups that we're dealing with now. It was a nightmare.
Flight 807, you're clear for landing. Runway 7, Bravo. All personnel report to the nearest tornado shelter. This is not a drill.
If you need help, then dial your operator.
Have no fear, fellow citizens. The Mediator is here.
Good morning and welcome to this week's edition of The Mediator with me, your host, Brian West, here to give you the top 8 headlines and developing news stories that made it this week. Now, as usual, I give you the top 8 local headlines and developing news stories that made it first, followed by a movie clip, a skit, a trailer, or something that's going on in the community, or maybe some pictures. But then I'll give you the top 8 international headlines and developing news stories that made it, folks. So let's waste no time. Oh, yeah. Let's get to it. Story number 1. The local radio business and why this story is important. Westwood One is set to lay off 3% of its distribution staff in a very competitive and tight local radio market, if you didn't know. In April, Cumulus Media stocks were soaring, but like everyone else in this problem, the media company, which has a local branch, could be adjusting to the local economic conditions. So that's why everybody else is adjusting to the local economic conditions, and that's what Cumulus could be doing. The local radio market has been dominated by iHeartMedia. That's also if you didn't know. Now other stations they've been chugging along in this very, very tight market. This story is important because radio still remains a top resource in how a top even communicator and information stream, and this is how people consume and get most of their information locally. Musicians and event coordinators also use radio to spread their information and current events. Now radio is also a free service that depends on local support like advertisers, etc., and not every area has the benefit of that comes with the stations that are aired in this community locally. News, jazz, and classical music hubs like NPR also provide programming geared for local support. That's why story number 1 made it this week. Story number 2. Idora Park memories make headlines. What happened to one of Youngstown's main attractions? An amusement park that, if still around today, would be a main tourist hub for the area. What happened to Idora Park? That's the question. Idora Park lasted from 1899 to 1984 and was closed due to a fire that took out the Wildcat roller coaster, one of the park's main attractions. Now, the most amazing part about Idora Park was how it grew from just a carousel to from a carousel and a picnic area into a big amusement park. Now, the memories held in Canfield may now be scattered as the Amy family is set to sell their property and auction off the park's memorabilia that they worked so hard to keep alive and maintain. The 26 acres of land is owned by Mount Calvary, the current where Idora Park still sits. It's owned by Mount Calvary Pentecostal Church, but the Amy family is keeping the Idora spark and the story alive. Now, keeping the story alive would be a great local investment that some people could make, and so the whole gist of it is that this could potentially revive a great and needed tourist attraction. So it's basically saying that the entrepreneurs out there, if somebody's looking to basically spark an amusement park, the land is still there and the idea could still be alive because of this story. Local tourism has already picked up, and this is a tourist attraction that could be revived if somebody wants to make the investment. Sometimes all it takes is people to come together. Now, this story could add more fuel to the surge in tourism potential here locally. Therefore, the story has to stay alive to prove a worthy story and to prove that who's brave enough out there to make a worthy investment. That's why story number 2 made it this week. Big head. Story number 3. COVID-19 cases back on on the rise. For the first time in 5 weeks, COVID-19 cases are back on the rise, folks. The Vindicator tracker says that out of 100,000 Ohioans, cases have increased 5% this past week. The story proves that the COVID-19 roller coaster ride continues. The battle being discussed now is dealing with the aftermath of the damage already done financially and economically. Now, as hard as it may seem, the entire world was told, if you remember, was told to stop everything and hit a reset button once the virus was contained for a local for a local market this big. So you just got to think, you told all those people to hit a reset button, to stop everything, sit at home, collect a paycheck, and now look where we are today. This story is still developing. That's why story number 3 made it this week. Cases are back on the rise. Story number 4. New Ohio gun laws take center stage. With so much gun-related incidents hitting the news, the new talk is about legislation aimed at curbing access to guns. The flames are being thrown in all directions, but continue to eat at the coattails of responsible gun owners. House Bill 99, which allows teachers to now carry guns, and Senate Bill 215, which allows those aged 21 and older to legally obtain a weapon. And other two bills are on the table in this story. Now, the discussion is an outcry due to all of the news surrounding gun-related incidents, leaving many responsible gun owners to speak out. The story is still developing because Ohio gun laws are taking center stage, and everybody else is watching to see how things turn out. Ohio has been having a big problem with guns. That's why story number 4 made it this week. Big headline. Story number 5. Water plan in the works for Lordstown and other projects making headlines. Lordstown is doing everything to prepare the land and property to be equipped, and be ready to handle the current business growth that's been taking place. Now, according to a local article, both the village council and the board of public affairs had a separate meeting to approve and proceed with a water service agreement with Ward for Clean Energy Future LLC, keeping the Trumbull Energy Center project alive. Now, the project is set at $1 billion, according to a local Vindicator article. Now, the project is not without opposition, though, because residents are voicing their concerns about selling and sharing resources. Boardman is also on the radar discussing a township housing, apartment, and condo complex proposal. Condos on Tippecanoe and a complex on Hitchcock Road. The main concern is with zoning and flooding. Now, some residents have even threatened to move. This story is still developing. That's why I made it this week. Big headline. Story number 6. More drug stories for Youngstown. One local developing story published July 1st by the Vindicator focuses on how 9 men in Youngstown developed a sophisticated cocaine distribution network by funneling at least 5 kilograms of cocaine and at least 28 grams of crack cocaine in the Youngstown area that came from Puerto Rico. The article goes on to explain how they use code words and phrases to facilitate their drug trafficking activities in areas that it appears that the activities had been taking place for some time, and even as far back as August 3rd of 2020. Now, where the article tracks the money and amount of drugs involved is the main focus of the article. It takes place in Ohio, locally. Now, another important find in the article was mentioned the possession of 6 firearms. So firearms was mentioned in the report on February 2nd of 2021. Now, they say that the firearms were obtained by 2 of the suspects in the find. So the story is still developing. That's why I almost made it to the top 2 this week. Big headline. Story number 7 and the top 2 local headlines and developing news stories that made it this week. Whew, almost through these locals. We're headed in the right direction. Right on top. Story number 7. The local job market is still in the headlines. Employers are still complaining about lack of good help. People are voicing their concerns on local radio and in public outcries, complaining about the lack of local work ethic, mainly for the new generation. The key to this story is figuring out what each party wants. That means the employer and the workers, and what they need to do to get the job done. Employers' main concern is what they have to do to stay in business and continue to carry out their business plans while also pleasing their customer base. That means they have to make money and they have to find the people to help them make money. That's why story number 7 almost made it to the top this week. Big hit. Story number 8 at the top. Local lucky number 8 ball story that made it this week for you, specially given every week, putting in my own work to keep you informed, navigating the news just for you. Story number 8. Bad start for the local nightlife after 3 hurt by gunfire on the south side. After the death of a 25-year-old man who lost his life at a local bar on East Midlothian, which now adds up to the city's 12th homicide of the year, a local bar coordinator, Brandon Brown, took to WKBN to voice his concerns about the mental state of people trying to enjoy the local nightlife. Now, in the report, he voiced his concerns about guns and the death of a local patron. Now, it's clear that local bar owners care about the people attending their establishments and do not want to have to deal with the current climate and vibes that some people are bringing into their bars. Now, people want to have a good time, and running a business isn't getting any easier, but people are coming together to try to stop this. Other city residents are also grouping together also to assist in stopping crime. This story is still developing. Well, folks, those are our top 8 local headlines and developing news stories that made this week. I'll be right back with the top 8 international headlines and developing news stories. So don't you go anywhere. You're in the Mediator. Me, Brother West. I'll be right back.
Tune in and don't forget to subscribe to Method 8 Inc. YouTube channel. You can also watch free public entertainment. And don't forget to show some support by visiting www.method8inc.com by buying something, clicking something, watching something, or just reading something. You can also sponsor a program as well. That's www.method8inc.com. Buy stuff, watch stuff, or read stuff.
Welcome back. Now it's time to get to the top 8 international headlines and developing news stories that made it this week. Folks, gun stories are ruling the airwaves, ruling the news. I remember when I was a kid at a party, and I was doing the dancing and having a good time, and girls all over dropping it like it's hot. Couldn't believe it, having a good time. And one of the guys, I guess his girlfriend, wanted to dance with me. And as soon as I was about to step in and do my little jig-lug, and all that stuff, he looked at me and said, "Look at my steel. Look at my steel, brother. Look at my steel." Brother had a gun in his little pocket. So I sat back. I said, you know what? I'm going to leave this alone. I was a peacemaker. That's how I became a mediator, because I was a peacemaker. I said, that's it. And somehow word that got to my cousin. And my cousin ain't really as peaceful as I am, but he probably is now, but back in the day, not really as peaceful as I was. He wanted to start a fight. Everybody brawling, everybody fighting, and somehow we survived, because come to turn out the gun was fake. But this is how things evolve over time. And as the mediator, I've been trying to encourage you out there, sometimes it's best just to walk away, because if it wasn't the other way around, the gun may have been real, some people could have lost their life that night, and I may not have been here. You know, you just never know. But it's good just to be peaceful, walk away, because life is precious. You know, you get to live another day, as Pops would say. You know, he would say, live another day. Think about that. See your grandkids, your children grow. You get to see your cousins. You get to go through the hard times, the good times. And even if somebody drops, your family gets taken down, you get to encourage it. You get to spread it, bring more life. And that's what life is all about. So if it's that big to you, I hope you listen to Mediator. It's not that it doesn't take much to walk away. It takes courage. When your courage get tested, that's all I can say as the Mediator. Because I'm here today, and I made a song about it. I'm here today. Yeah, I'm here today because I walked away. Woo! Ooh-wee. It's a hit single, baby. Here today because I walked away. Big headline, folks. Well, let's get to the top 8, folks. Let's get to it. Story number 1. Certain safety plans are working, but you only hear about the ones that don't. Folks, I'm here today because I walked away. Could have been gold, but I walked away. My cousin got in the fight, almost lost his life, but we made peace, and I'm here today because I walked away. Many times. It's hard. Courage is hard, but you got to walk away. How many terror cells are there, folks? Underground drug busts, how many are those? How many trafficking networks go unreported? The question is, the answer is a lot. This story homes in on what you hear and what you don't hear and what safety plans work and don't work. Now, after a year flooded with news stories of successful attacks, investigators are now getting smarter by observing how well thought out most of these mass shootings are. Now, they're homing in on the who, what, when, where, and why. The story is still developing, but gives you an idea of how some people choose to take action in their own hands, and they end up destroying not only the foundation of their lives, but the people around them's lives. And that's why it's good sometimes just to take it easy, work on your mental health, listen, and just walk away and don't fight. Sometimes it's better. They have boxing, they have sports. That's why story number 1 is so important. If you're angry, you want to get your frustration out, find a gym, find a pen and a pad. That's big. That's why story number 1 is such a big headline. Story number 2. What age is safe to teach about sex? A Washington State school board director is set to teach about sexual pleasure to 9-year-old students. The Fox News report says that the sex workshop will cover the basics: friendship, relationships, romance, puberty, and more. The story has opposition as the continued reality of sex talks lingers in the air. What age is safe to teach a child about sex? That's why the story is still developing. Story number 2, big headline. Story number 3. Is it a leadership problem or a citizenship problem? In an exclusive interview, former Secretary of State Henry Kissinger says, the 99-year-old, he says that he's worried about the country and the world because of the quality of leaders. He says that we're not producing enough. Now, he feels that the world needs better leaders, while some are saying that the world needs better citizens. So I don't know how you're going to win this debate, but with crime and mass shootings staying in the headlines, this is becoming an all too common debate, and Generation Z is starting to step up in the spotlight and trying to step in the leadership platform. This story is still developing. That's why I made it this week. Big headline. Story number 4. Americans detained in Russia want help. Russia has detained someone well known in the women's basketball club, the basketball world, for some time. Brittany Griner, and she is now calling on the White House to bring her and other Americans detained in Russia home. She sent a letter to the president asking not to be forgotten. That is very sad. If you've ever been in this position or been in any type of situation like this, is very scary. Now, the article goes on to say how she feels as she feels as though that the current state that she's in will last forever. That means she feels like there's no end. She wants to come home. She misses her friends and families. That's why the story is so important. Now, every basketball superstar will be watching the story and seeing how it develops, because Griner is facing charges on marijuana possession in the country of Russia. So this story is still developing. Big headline. That's why I made it this week. Well, folks, those are our top 4 international headlines and developing news stories that I made this week. I'll be right back with the top 4. So don't you go anywhere. You're in the Mediator. Me, Bro West. I'll be right back. If you want to check out the stories that almost made it in or did make it in, go to our Twitter feed on our website. Check out everything. All of the sources are there. And go to the website. It's method.inc.com. Welcome back. Now it's time to get to the top 4 international headlines and developing news stories that made it this week. Folks, mental health is everything. And what I'm learning is that it's not crazy until you go crazy. Go crazy. There's levels of craziness. That's what I'm learning. Some people could be a little bit crazy and just be dysfunctional because their pH levels may be off, and some people can just go crazy. Well, we've been seeing a lot of go crazy stories in the news, but I'm here to tell you that if you're battling with some mental health problems, it's okay to try to find help, and it's okay to take a break. It's okay to tell your employer, hey, I think I'm losing my mind. Can you maybe put me on light duty or something? It is okay. The best thing about mental health is don't let it get too late, because when you're thinking about doing something crazy, like shooting your boss, shooting your family, or burning yourself up or jumping out a window, sometimes it's best to just get help. Get some help. Because you never know what tomorrow may bring. Tomorrow you may hit the lottery. You may find a new friend, find a new jigaloo. You never know. Find a new invention that could do something you never thought it could do. You miss out on all the good things over one bad scenario. Then you wake up and you say, what did I do? Ruined my life. And that's why mental health is so important. That's why it's made it this week. Whew. You can be good. You can be great if you find something to concentrate. You can defeat the mental beast by focusing on every day of the week. Woo! X off the good days and put an F for the bad days. You can be great. Woo! Let's get to it. Story number 5. Woo! My singing is getting better and better every week. I can feel it. Story number 5. Drug smuggling stories are staying alive, folks. New BBC report says that drug smuggling across the U.S.-Mexico border is big business. So far too long, folks. They had long. This has been going on for so far too long. That's my little phrase there. So far too long. But they had long, if you didn't know, 2 long construction tunnels were found underground. That's how long this has been going on. That we're connecting the United States to Mexico. Two tunnels. That's a long tunnel. The report goes on to explain how people are getting paid and developing their own money networks between the United States and Mexico border. How drugs got involved is simple. Drugs create a cash flow, folks. That's business. That's money. Easy money. Now, overall, the story explains why the border stories are staying alive. After 53 migrants were found dead in San Antonio, one anonymous correspondent says that it's unlikely to stop because people are desperate and they're doing anything that they can to have somewhat of a stable life. This story is still developing, and all I can say is that some trees we're not supposed to be eating off of, but a lot of people are partaking of the forbidden fruit or forbidden trees. Big headline. That's what story number 5 made it. Story number 6. Don't worry, the American system will balance itself out. Over and over again through the years, the way the American system is structured, it eventually balances itself out. That's how amazing it is. Now, this has been proven through the years, with many economists talking recession and people not happy with politics as usual. The key to this story is reflecting on past data that shows that things are often over time balance themselves out after a while. Now that's usually everything kind of usually evens out. Now the key in this story is to not panic and just diversify. Investment advisors are urging their clients to stay calm. They're doing that. They have to. The formula of watching what happens in a bull market as prices rise and a bear market as prices fall is being enforced because many economists don't believe that this inflation period is going to last that long, thus proving that the way the American system is structured, it will eventually balance itself out. So keep an eye on story number 6. That's why I made it this week. This story is still developing. Big headline. Story number 7 in the top 2 international headlines and developing news stories that I made this week for you to keep you informed. That's all I can do. That's all. I'm trying to do something positive with my time here on this planet. I'm not trying to be a know-it-all, but I'm just navigating the news to keep you informed. That's what I'm doing. That's a good thing. So if you're out there, show me some love. Show me some support. Give me some love. Teach me some love. Be in some type of love with the show and with me. That's why I do this. Story number 7. Gunfire to release anger. Why? Forbes reports that U.S. mass shootings hover near record high. A mass shooting at a Chicago holiday parade, along with a New York City wave of holiday shootings, which left 3 people dead and 16 people injured, leaves the question on why. Why are people doing this? Are people shooting people because they're angry, or doing it because they're just trying to create protests or create problems, stir up the crowd? This story is the key. The key to this story is trying to figure out why and how this keeps happening over and over again in a nation with so many resources and an abundance of wealth and everything people could possibly want to get their hands on. And they even have government programs to help people. The story is still developing. That's why story number 7 almost made it to the top this week. Big headline. Story number 8 in the top. International headline and developing news stories that made this week. I made it to the finish line, folks. I'm in here. I'm battling through the stories, fighting, doing my little dance, trying. I'm trying to be a force of good by staying in the middle. And I'm taking a beating, but I'm fighting on to the promised land. Story number 8. Poverty is increasing, folks. Poverty. The poverty index is extensive, folks. People who were already on the edge are now on the streets. COVID was the first hit. Then came inflation and war. Poverty is increasing, and it may take a miracle to get a handle on it, folks. The poverty pit is big, and it comes with drug abuse, crime, and petty theft, stealing. This story has to stay alive to keep the pressure on employers and those with the most to spend. They have to spend, the people with the most, and get people back to work. We're doing everything. I mean, everybody is working hard. Nonprofits, we need volunteers. This is big. Those in poverty also have to want to excel, to be better, to get better, and they have to defeat the poverty bug. A lot of people are trying. They're working job after job, but they can't make ends meet, folks. This is what's happening in story number 8. That's why I made it to the top. It's important to note that people are living paycheck to paycheck. It's increasing. That many people living paycheck to paycheck is increasing. The story is still developing, folks. We have to defeat the poverty bug. We have to somehow go out and make the money, spend the money, and make more of the money. That's how capitalism works. That's why it's such a big story. Well, folks, those are our top 8 local and international headlines and developing news stories that I made this week. I hope you got something out of today's program. I always get something out of doing the research. As usual, I'd like to thank all the news outlets, the journalists, the people on the front lines. You deserve all the credit. I'm just the media, the man in the middle. If you want to show us some support here at Method 8, it does not take much. All you have to do is visit the website on the screen and buy something, click on something, watch something, read something, or just sponsor a program. Folks, I'll be back next week looking through over 200 or more stories to keep you informed, folks. I hope you enjoy today's show. Have a good week, everybody. Thank you for tuning to me. I'm stumbling me, but I'm going through. Thank you for tuning to the meeting. Me, Bro West. Have a good week, everybody. Peace.
If you need help, then dial your operator.
Have no fear, fellow citizens. The Mediator is here.